So the parents of the children I babysit tried to take me to the bedroom with them. As in with the parents. Like the parents were trying to sequester me for bedroom activities. Ménage à trois, if you will. I had been babysitting their kids one night a week for about 8 months at this point. So here's how it happened. So Wednesday nights were their date nights, and they always got home around 10:30-ish. But this particular night, the mom was texting me saying, we're actually going to be a little bit later. Is that okay with you? Do you have anything going on? Or should we rush home? And I was like, no. You guys stay out. You have fun. It's their date night. I want them to have fun. It's the parents' night out. So they get home around 12:30-ish. So they walk in the door, they're very visibly smashed. They're stumbling a little bit and they're giggling a ton. And I thought it was wholesome. I thought it was cute that they had a little bit too much fun on their date. So I asked them how it went. They said it was great. And then they said, actually, we talked about you a little bit at one point. And I'm like, oh, ha, 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 ha. What about me? And they look at each other and they giggle some more. And they're like, well, we just think like you're really cute and really pretty. And I'm like, and for some context, yeah, these parents are good looking people, okay? Like they're good looking parents. So anyway, I just laugh it off. I'm like, oh, you guys are too cute. I'm so glad you had such a fun night. I'm gonna head out now, get some rest, drink lots of water. I don't want you guys being hungover. Like I'm just fooling with them, like playing around. I'm in college at this point. I'm a freshman in college. I'm 19 years old. More context. So at this point, I'm about to head out. The mom turns to dad and was like, we have to ask. Should we? We can't blow our one chance. Anyway, the dad then does the talking. And it had been the mom talking for the most part up until this point. The dad goes, listen, we can pretend we never had this conversation if you are not interested. You also never have to come back again if you are creeped out. And I'm like, oh my God. He's going there. Like I had the tiniest idea after they called me pretty. I was like, huh, that is quite interesting that you talked about me at dinner. But I also, this was like span of 30 seconds, so I didn't have that much time to think. And I'm like, yeah, like what's up? Like, because I don't know what else he could be saying, but maybe it was something else. Maybe they were going to ask me to like watch the kids overnight. I don't know. Anyway, homeboy says, would you like to come upstairs with us and just maybe take a shower and see where things go? The wife immediately butts back in and is like, if you're uncomfortable right now, you can literally just go home and never come back again. You don't have to come back next Wednesday or ever again. If you're uncomfortable and you don't want to see us again, I totally get it. And I'm like, no. You guys are totally fine. Don't worry. I'm ready. So reminder, at this point, I am 19 years old. I'm currently 25. So this is a while ago. But also, 19 is young. That's young. These parents, they're in their 40s, okay? That's a big difference. At this point in time, the phrase do it for the plot was not yet coined, but that is exactly how I felt. In that moment, I was like, I gotta do this for the plot. This is gonna make the best, most funny story ever. This would be legendary. Movies are made out of situations like this. But then again, I'm like, I'm 19 years old. These people are in their 40s. I babysit their children. This is so wild. And also they are so drunk. And I also just didn't want to do it. So after some very short contemplation in my head, this whole like back and forth going on, it had to happen in like 10 seconds because I didn't want them to feel weird sitting in silence. So I just, after the, oh no, don't worry about it, I'm just like, smiling and giggling. I'm like, you guys are too good. Have such a good night. Oh, I'm going to send you the Venmo request right now. And I played it off. I think I played it off so cool. The following Wednesday, I went back over. I walk in the door. The dad just says to me, oh my God, we were so drunk last Wednesday. I barely remember any of it. I don't even remember any of the movie we saw, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you guys were hysterical last week. And I just completely played it off. We never mentioned that conversation again. It just, yeah, that was that. Or maybe I'm lying. Maybe I did do it. You'll never know.
Now that I'm a couple years out from being cheated on and I'm no longer in this relationship, I would like to share something funny with you about what my dentist said to me that actually really changed my mindset after being cheated on. So like a lot of people, shockingly, after you get cheated on, a lot of women don't often leave the relationship. They somehow justify it in their minds that they can compartmentalize it in some way, okay? Similarly, I found out I was cheated on, and I immediately, well, I was miserable, and then we decided to stay together and give it a shot. And pretty quickly I was like, okay, he only did it because we were going through a bad time. And I was able to compartmentalize it by using that frame of reference, because we were going through like a weird rocky period, and that's when he did it. So I was like, okay, that will never happen again. I chose not to tell any of my best friends because I didn't want to be judged for staying. I also didn't want like him to be judged, that feeling. And the first few months were like fake bliss, because you're kind of in this new chapter where you're like, everything's different now, everything's so good, everything is so great, blah, blah, blah. Then after a few months, things kind of go back to normal, where you have like your first little fight again about something random. And then you'll have never not been cheated on again by that person. That person will have always cheated on you, in addition to this like little annoying thing like, they didn't do the dishes or whatever. And you're like, and you cheated. So it becomes this like recurring anxiety, okay? This recurring energy that you can never like remove from the relationship. And yes, I know there's kind of this like rhetoric, like if you do choose to stay after being cheated on, you eventually have to let that go, because again, it'll always come up. But at this point, I'm staying in the relationship, and I'm having so much anxiety, you guys. Like, I am having just these like Pittsville, USA, okay, of feelings. And I remember going to my dentist, and the dental assistant that was working on me that day was so funny. And when you go through something like that and you hide it from like almost everyone in your life, you start to tell random people like your dentist, because you're not going to see them again for like 6 months. So they can't really hold you accountable. They're not going to judge you on a day-to-day basis, but you like need to get it off your chest. So she's cleaning my teeth, and I start to open up to her, and she's like, girl, I got cheated on too, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, but like he did it when we were going through a bad time. And she goes, yeah, but girl, that's what he's gonna do when you were going through a bad time. The way she reframed it blew my mind, because I had been justifying it for so long. Oh, we were in a rocky period. Oh, we were going through a hard time as a couple, like da 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 da. And then she's like, yeah, but that's what he's gonna do when you're going through a hard time as a couple. It was the first time I had heard it like this, and it completely blew my mind. Because the reality is, every single relationship, perfect, not perfect, whatever, is going to have a rough patch, whether it's after you get married, after you have kids, earlier on, I don't know, but everyone is going to go through something hard. And what you actually want to do is like find someone that's not going to do something like that when you are going through a hard time. Now, I don't want to put people on blast. This is not why I'm telling the story, but it was something that I had never really thought was going to happen to me, as we all probably think, because I wasn't out there dating like DJs, or I don't know, you just kind of have this mentality of like, only these types of people do this type of thing, and then whatever. All that to say, I would never judge someone for staying with someone after going through that experience. It was just a lesson I had to learn on my own. Eventually, I think I even stayed another 4 months after that, and then eventually you leave for like an asinine reason, like they just piss you off about something else, and then you run out of their house in the middle of the night.
This is going to be a story time about how I just realized that my ex is a groiper, or like into those incel far right-wing online forums. And he was throughout a relationship, and I'm just now putting all of these pieces together. And I'm like kind of freaking out inside. I'm smiling right now, but I hope you know, like, I'm not happy about this. I'm actually like panicking a little bit, because so many things that didn't make sense before are making so much sense. So a little bit of background. We met in 2015, freshman year of college. I'm going to try to tell this story as smoothly as possible, but my thoughts are all over the place. At 2015, freshman year of college, I didn't know him before college. A lot of people that were from his same city knew him before college and knew him in high school. He was known in high school for getting into a lot of trouble because he was very proficient at software engineering, like coding. He was a hacker, like literal hacker. Like, he was very good at hacking people's computers, hacking people's stuff, very chronically online, like very chronically into like these online gaming forums, was like swatting people, like doing bomb threats on people, like I said, hacking people, all kinds of like actual crimes. Got in trouble for like hacking into somebody's credit card and doing credit card fraud. He got expelled from school for doing a bomb threat on the school. And then everybody made like memes that said like free blank, his name. It was a whole thing, basically. I was young, I was fresh into college, and we were kind of like in the same circle of friends, but I didn't know about any of that. Like, I didn't know about any of that side of like the world, that there were like people on forums that were like doing things like that. So I'm like hearing these stories and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. And I'm just like laughing about it because I'm 18 and I'm a teenager. And this was 2015. Like, nobody took anything seriously back then. Hence people like making memes about it. Like, nobody would do that now. People would be like, what the fuck? Like, he was kind of like an introverted extrovert, might I say. Like, he was very heavily online, very chronically online, but he was also like friends with everybody and like was always around. So like we were just close friends. Like, and honestly, I didn't really know anything about his online life, but I know that he was heavily online. So fast forward through college, he ended up developing a very serious drug problem with a very serious drug. So he goes to rehab. I remained friends with him through that, but we kind of drifted apart through his rehab experience. But we ended up reconnecting later on, like years later. So this would have been like a few years ago. Now, when we reconnected, he had changed a lot. He had cleaned up, he got sober, he was like into actual hobbies now. He just like really had seemed like he was better, I guess. And like he really opened up to me and said that like he had feelings for me for years, and you know, I had started to develop feelings for him at this point. So we began a relationship, and fast forward into a relationship, we end up moving in together. For the longest time at this point, I looked back and I thought that the downfall of our relationship was us moving in together, and us just not being like aligned. But now I'm realizing it has a lot to do with the like online spaces and ideology that he was involved in that I didn't even realize that he was involved in until now. But our relationship started off really great. He treated me basically like he worshiped the ground that I walked on. And then we started fighting. Start saying things about my appearance. I was kind of like alternative at this point, and he would start saying things about like how nobody was going to take me seriously and that he was going to be embarrassed to bring me around his family. Which like this was like a slow accumulation of things. And he would just start nagging me about my body, saying that like I looked too skinny and that like I should start working out and I should start eating more. And then he would say he was just encouraging me, but like it made me feel like shit, and it like clearly wasn't encouragement. So I would get upset, and then we would fight about the fact that I was upset that he said that. He started introducing ideas to me about like being traditional and having a traditional relationship. So he basically started training me. So he would be like, you never cook for me. Like, I wish you would cook for me. And then so I would like cook some things for him. But I'd be like, I don't like when you like demand that I cook for you, because then it feels like you're like telling me to cook for you and I'm not your wife. I'm not your little housemaid, you know, like I'm just your girlfriend and we live together. Like this isn't, but he would act like I wasn't doing my part as a woman by like cooking for him. And he would like be like, I look at my friends' girlfriends and they cook for them and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's not like he was paying for us to live there. We split the rent. Like, it's not my job to cook for you. He would do that about the laundry. Like, he would be like, I would end up be doing his laundry. And then I started to get resentful because he just like expected me to like take care of him basically and do all these chores. And around this time, I started noticing that he got like really into like, creatine and kratom, and he got really into like the gym. Like he was into the gym before this, but he got super into the gym. He got super into bulking. He started to like care a lot about like the way his like beard was groomed. And I know you guys are gonna think like, oh, he's just like taking care of himself, like that's better. But no, like it started to become obsessive. And then I could tell that through this process he started looking down on me. And at this point in our relationship, I was really depressed, and I was basically in fight or flight all the time. I had a lot of anxiety because just of the constant like negging and negativity, and I just felt like shit about myself. And so he ended up resenting me for that, even though like the reason I felt that way was like because I was how I was being treated in the relationship. So I felt no desire to like I just felt like shit. And at this point in our relationship too, I realized that he was still very heavily online, super, super secretive about his phone. And he had like apps that I had never heard of before that were like chat apps or whatever. But I never got to like go through it because he also said that like, because I was asking to like see his phone because I was suspicious that I was being controlling. And so I felt like I would be controlling by going through his phone. He had me like super brainwashed, you have to understand. But I definitely know that he was still super heavily on Discord, and on other Twitch and other like online spaces. And he was like always on Reddit. He was always on his phone, like always reading some shit on his phone. Okay. Like always. And he never let me see what it was that he was reading. I want to talk about a specific time. At this point, I had been begging this man to spend time with me. He basically was telling me that I wasn't worth spending time with because I wasn't doing enough for him. So at this point, I had been begging him to love me and begging him to spend time with me. I know you're going to say, stand up, girl. I was in a bad relationship, okay? But had been begging him to spend time with me and watch a movie with me, anything. He refused. One night, he comes to me and he says, babe, I want to watch this documentary with you. I was so excited, okay? Because I was like, finally, he wants to watch something with me and he wants to spend time with me. So I'm just giddy. I'm like, yes, okay, let's watch it. And he's smiling ear to ear. He sees how excited I am to watch this documentary with him. So he puts it on and he's grinning ear to ear. And I'm like, wow, he's really excited to spend time with me. I also want to mention that he was consuming a lot of content that I didn't fucking like. Like he was always listening to like some weird white male podcasts, always watching like these weird like super masculine YouTubers. Just like, it's blatant, guys. Like, it's blatant. He also started making like really offensive jokes. They started off pretty mild, but then they got really bad. Like he started making sexist jokes and I asked him to stop. I would get really upset, which he thought was hilarious. He would call me mean names. He would call me like manly names. He would call me a bitch. He would call me the C word. And then he started making like super racist jokes and just really, really offensive jokes. And because it bothered me so much and because I would get so mad at him and so upset, he just like loved that even more. Off talking about us watching a documentary that he was really, really excited to put on for us, because he really wanted me to see this documentary and he thinks that I would really love it, right? By the way, he knows 100% he knew my politics. Like, he knew that I was not right-wing in the slightest. Never have been, never will be. So just want to preface that with this. So he puts this documentary on for me and it starts and I'm watching it and it starts off really normal. They're talking, I don't even remember exactly how it starts off, but then it starts to get a little bit weird. Like they start saying some things that just seem a little questionable. But then they would like sandwich that between a lot of things that are true and like are factual. So then I'm like, this is weird. Like, what am I watching? They started saying things about the Jews. And I thought that was weird that they kept saying the Jews. I'm like, nobody, like people don't say that. That's kind of like weirdly offensive the way they're like referring to them. And then like they started saying that the Jews like control the entire world. And they started saying that like the Jews control America and they like are a dictatorship over everybody. And it started to get like really, really anti-Semitic. And as this is happening, as I'm making these realizations, like as things are getting weird, I would say to him, I'd be like, that's weird. Why are they saying the Jews? And he'd just be like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Let's keep watching. And then like they started saying weirder and weirder shit. And it started to become like, they started speaking less about like real historical shit that happened and started just focusing really heavily on Jewish people and how like they're taking over the world. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I finally was like, this, like, we were only like 15 minutes in at this point. And I was like, babe, this propaganda, like, we're watching propaganda right now. Like, that's what this feels. And he played completely dumb. He was like, what? I don't think so. Let's keep watching. And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch this. Like, this feels like propaganda. Like, this feels like anti-Jewish propaganda that we're watching right now. And he's like, I think it's interesting. I don't see what you're seeing. Like, I don't understand what you mean. And I realized by the end of, I started to realize that he was fucking with me. But before this, I'm like, who told you to watch this? Like, you said that somebody recommended this to you. And he's like, oh, my friend. Like, my friend told me to watch it. And I'm like, what the fuck friend would tell you to watch this? Like, this is literal propaganda, dude. Like, I'm telling you, this is propaganda. And at this point, I still didn't realize, like, I thought he just truly didn't realize that it was propaganda. And he was like, just my friend, like, my friend on Twitter. And I was like, what friend? Like, somebody online, like, told you to watch this documentary? And he's like, yeah, I like it. I want to watch it. And then I realized that, like, he's still grinning. And then I realized this was a fucking joke to him. I realized that he was playing a joke. The joke was me. Like, the joke was me. He was playing this for me, to see if he could get me to, like, fall for the propaganda, I guess. And, like, this was pleasing to him to, like, see if I was stupid enough to fall for this propaganda. But he was also, like, thoroughly entertained by the media itself. I genuinely, like, that's genuinely what I think. So we got in a huge fight over that. It was like, this is fucked up. Why are you consuming this media? And why are you making a joke out of trying to... I basically called him out. I was like, you're trying to, like, see if you can convince me of this. And he completely played dumb. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, like, was laughing at me. And I'm realizing now, like, I'm connecting the dots. Like, it wasn't just this one friend. Like, at the time, I'm like really concerned. I'm like, you need to stop talking to this person. Like, this person is fucked up. And he's like, it's my friend, blah, blah, blah. Like, they didn't know, blah, blah, blah. They didn't know. And I'm realizing now that, like, it wasn't just he had a fucked up friend online. Like, I'm realizing now that all of these different things, the bulking, the protein, the, like, being obsessive about the looks maxing, right? Trying to indoctrinate me, trying to train me basically to be a trad wife, a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home girlfriend. Same type of shit that you see on those forums. Being heavily online, being a software engineer, being super into hacking, having a history of fraud, hacking, criminal, being active in different weird online forums. The fucking anti-Semitic propaganda and groups that he was in, with most likely lots of fucking people in these groups sharing these ideas, sharing this media. And I realized, like, that's another huge reason why he absolutely hated me. Like, as our relationship progressed and as these other behaviors started increasing and these other things started coming to light, he became so cruel to me and just hating me. He was using textbook, like, manipulation, negging, abuse tactics that, like, people are sharing on those websites, like how to hate women, how to, like, target women, basically. All of these things that I was just thinking, like, what was wrong with him? Like, why was this happening? Like, all of these things are connected now. Like, they're all connected. Like, I thought he was just a narcissist, but he was, but it all goes back to, like, he was active on these forums. And this is the scariest part, is, like, now looking at the history, the trajectory, like, looking at the things that he was doing, like, back in high school, he has been involved in these forums since, like, the early 2010s. Us, high school, 14 years old, when he got in trouble for the shit he was getting in trouble with, that would have been, like, 2011, okay? Like, these forums go deep. They go back years and years, probably farther than that. Like, and I didn't even realize, like, I'm just realizing this now. There's probably gonna be, like, a lot more things that I remember, and, like, go back and add, or clarify or whatever, but I'm panicked. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. But yeah, you never, just be aware, like, keep your eyes open, like, be aware of the people that you have around you and that you're in relationships with. I feel like my eyes have been open to so many things.
Story time on how a guy said they'd grape me. Yep. We're gonna call him Bob for the sake of this video. So I'm on the phone to my best friend at the time, and then my little brother walks in and he says, "Hi, can you add Bob on Snap? He wants to tell you something." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And my friend on the phone goes, "Oh, I know Bob, he goes here." And I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." My little brother goes to school with him, so he knows him from school. So Bob gets straight to the point. He basically introduces himself and I'm like, "Hi." And he was like, "I think you fit." And I was like, "Okay, you're younger than me for one. That's weird. 2, who even are you? 3, I'm okay, thank you." Bob completely ignores that, jumps headfirst in. "Can I see your back? Can I have arch pics?" I said, "No, I like someone else, and again, you're younger than me. This is weird. Who even are you?" And he was like, "Oh, who'd you like? Who'd you like? Who'd you like?" So I told him who I liked. No shame here, bitch. He's fine as fuck. He's now my boyfriend. Not Bob. Bob is not my boyfriend. The guy I liked is my boyfriend. He's like, "Oh, I know him. He doesn't have to know." What is it with these people he doesn't have to know? No, you're right, he doesn't, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give you anything. Silly bitch. Fuck you. Why would I do that if I like someone else? Like, what the fuck? And he was like, "Okay, I'm sorry, can we be friends?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, we can be friends, that's fine. As long as there's no weird stuff, because I am not down for that, okay? No." He was like, "That's fine, but I still think you're fit." And I was like, "Okay, but you don't have to say anything. Please just keep it to yourself." I wasn't even fit. Let me humble myself right now. I looked like a rock from the bottom of the ocean, okay? If you saw me walking down the street, you would think I'm an unidentified creature, okay? I was not fit. I looked like I was from Mars, okay? No. I mean, he stuck to being normal to a certain extent. He'd still call me fit. I'd say thank you, but please, I'm not interested, you know what I mean? He'd still call me fit though, so yeah, it was all going all right. It was all going decent, okay, until one night. And I'm at my best friend's house. And my best friend in the whole entire world, I'm at her house, okay? And he texts me, again, asking for arch pics. I was like, no. And he was like, "Okay, you down for sex?" I was like, "I'm sorry? If I just said no to that, what on God's green earth makes you think I'm going to do that?" No. And as I was typing no, it kept auto-correcting to Mo. And it was really getting on my nerves. But I sent no just after he sent a message where it says, "Okay, I'll grape you then." I then had to click and hold and reply to that message going, "Wait a whole damn minute." What the fuck? I said, "You can't say that to people, that is fucked. I'm sorry, but what the actual fuck is wrong with you?" I started going absolutely mental, valid, right? And he was going, "I'm sorry, I take it back." You take it back. This is not clothes that do not fit from Primark. You cannot just return that, okay? You did not say that I'm ugly or something like that, which would have been valid. You literally just said you were going to grape me. You cannot just take that back. So I looked at my best friend. She already knew what to do. She whipped out the camera. She took the picture of the screen. So we two-phoned it without it coming up on the chat saying, "Ellie screenshotted this." So after that point, I just completely ignored him. There was no way I was going to talk to someone who just said that to me. He was not happy he was being ignored because he was still texting me while I'm not answering, asking for arch pics, asking to see my back, okay, actively being ignored. And I'm like, okay, you're talking to yourself at this point. He wanted revenge, so he went round telling people a load of rumours about me. Meanwhile, I have this screenshot and he does not know. Okay, he does not know. So anybody who came up to me and asked me, I was like, no, this is why. This is why. And because I'm ignoring him now, he's spreading rumours about me, so just be careful. I then found out from another girl that he texts absolutely everybody he can, asking them for arch pics. So, yeah. Hashtag man whore. Okay? Stay away.
Am I in the wrong for telling my roommate's hookup to leave in the middle of the night because I had work? I, 27 female, live with 2 roommates. One of them, Tara, has a habit of bringing guys over constantly. I usually don't care, but last week crossed the line. I work a 6 a.m. shift at the hospital. The night before, Tara brought home some random guy. They were being loud in the living room until nearly 1 a.m., laughing, playing music, clinking bottles. I asked them to keep it down, and she brushed me off. At 3 a.m., I woke up again because they were being even louder in her room. Thin walls, if you know what I mean. I had an alarm set for 4:30. I couldn't take it anymore. I knocked and told her that her hookup needed to leave because I had work in 2 hours. He looked shocked, but he did leave. Tara freaked out the next morning, saying I had no right to kick her guest out. I told her that she was being incredibly inconsiderate and I couldn't function at work without sleep. She said I was acting like her mom and embarrassing her. Now our third roommate is staying neutral, but I feel awkward in the apartment. Tara's been giving me the cold shoulder and told me that if I ever did that again, she'd return the favor. So, was I in the wrong for kicking out her hookup at 3 a.m.?